the Lions like, hey, we not gonna pay you that money that we said we was gonna pay you. How about we structure a deal? And he was like, basically like, man, what are y'all talking about? I ain't restructuring. And it was like, come on, man. He was like, nah. He was like, well, let me go then. It was like, all right. So, yeah, that was my acting skills. But basically, that's the gist of what happened. Taylor Decker gone, man. And once again, we are in need of offensive line help bad as hell. It is moved back up to the top of the list. What are your thoughts on Taylor Decker leaving, Marcus?
I don't think I've ever seen two two players. I mean, two players, let alone offensive linemen, announced that they were returning to a team, and probably less than a week later, that team finding out that they will not be with that player. Frank Ragnow and now Taylor Decker. Taylor Decker is a very interesting case because me and you both saw the reaction when he announced that he was coming back to the team. And I was pretty much in agreement with you that you weren't going to find a better left tackle with whatever you're going to replace him with. So you might as well bring him back. But there was a strong majority, not majority, there was a strong portion of the fan base that was upset because they had already allocated Taylor Decker's money towards something else.
Right. I.e. Max Crosby. Max Crosby is the end all be all right now. You can't take 5 steps in Lions Nations right now, 5 steps, 2 steps, without running across the Lions fans saying Max Crosby. Well, Max Crosby is the answer. What's going to win you Super Bowl? Max Crosby. Max Crosby, Max Crosby, Max Crosby. Yeah. People wanted Taylor Decker to quit so he could get Max Crosby.
I will say this draft has had me in a flux. I don't know where the Lions should go with the first pick at 17. I originally had him slated at taking the best offensive tackle available. And then Taylor Decker announced he was coming back, so it kind of threw me for a tailspin. And then I started looking at other pieces. I got on board the Kenyon Sadiq take a tight end at 17 train, and now Taylor Decker has announced that him and the teams are parting ways, are amicably, that's the word to use, amicably parting ways, and now it's come full circle. I'm back looking at a tackle, top 2 tackles that I want. The latest mock drafts I saw had him going in the top 10, so that doesn't make me feel good. I'm not like over the hill crazy about the other tackles available. I mean, they're fine players, but I've come full circle, and by getting rid of Taylor Decker, on the bright side, we are now under the cap. We have $5.5 million to work with. You're probably going to need some more money for that continuing into the off season, but we are no longer in the hole.
I still wanted the Lions to draft a offensive lineman either with the first pick or the second pick, but it wasn't as urgent of as a need, and I was leaning more towards an edge with 17. But if they went out, but if that guy was there and the tackle was there, I wouldn't have been mad at tackle at 17 either. But now I'm back where you at, man. A tackle is going to be your main priority, and I still want my edge at 17. But that just adds another piece that you need. This I don't know. How does this change your opinion of how Brad needs to handle things? Does this add a little bit more urgency in any department, free agency, restructuring? At least Taylor did it before the draft. You know what I'm saying? Ragnar waited afterwards. But does this add any urgency until what Brad needs to do? What he needs to say, this is a fire and I need to fix this right away?
I think in terms of sense of urgency, regardless of what Brad Holmes does, he honestly he's honestly safe for 2 more years. That's 2 more years. He'll get this year and he'll get next year. Uh, and depending on how next year goes, that's either going to be an extension or his ass. I don't even know what his contract looks like, but I'm just saying he's got 2 more years to get this thing right. And he spent the past, I think they said he's been here like 5 years. He spent past 5 years talking about building a culture, building a team, drafting, developing, re-signing his guys, and all of this. And now, I don't know how else. Maybe you see it a different way, but I don't know how else I can look at this other than to say that this thing is there's some chinks in the armor. I guess is the safest way, nicest way, most polite way I could put it. David Montgomery was a big part of this team, and he was unhappy, and he essentially asked to be let go, and they got rid of him. Frank Ragnow was, man, we had no idea how important Frank Ragnow was. He's gone. Ben Johnson, big part, gone. On to the division foe, making them a better team. And now Taylor Decker, they asked Brad Holmes about Taylor Decker, I think like the same day or the day before, and he's like, "Oh, well, we're gonna give him time and da 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 da, and hopefully he gives us an answer here soon." And then like the next day, Taylor Decker's like, "I'm back," and then the Lions are like, "Whoa, whoa, hey, I wish you would have talked to us first."
Yeah.
So the Lions are going to do what the Lions are going to do. The Lions are going to run PR. They're going to tell you, hey, there's nothing to see here. Everything's fine. Everybody's happy. We're all a big family here. But like you've gone against the idea of bringing in outside people because you don't want any noise and you don't want this and want that. You want to keep a safe, controlled environment. And ironically, your safe controlled environment is starting to decay from inside. So again, I think it goes back to where me and you had the debate, and we still have yet to find out the answer. And that is, will Brad? I mean, I'm gonna answer your question with the same exact question. Will Brad Holmes learn from what's going on here and take the approach that he needs to approach things differently, and essentially reach out, bring in people, go outside the family? I still don't think that that's what he's gonna do.
You're right. Brad Holmes has been here 5 years, and essentially he accomplished what he set out to do. You know what I'm saying? Um, he built a culture. He saying the first year was going to be always going to be a watch because we were horrible when Brad Holmes got here. So there's nothing you can do with that season. But over time, over over the next two seasons, he built that franchise up to a winning organization. And then after that, I mean, you had a couple of mishaps along the way. You had a couple of mishaps along the way. I mean, everything is not going to go your way, and we've had um bad luck with injury. You know what I'm saying? So most of the time, there's nothing you can do about that. But but none of that is Brad's fault. What is Brad's fault is I've said this before about Brad, and people give Brad Holmes a hard time. I mean, which they should. I'm not saying they shouldn't give him a hard time, but I think they're a little harder on him than needs be because, like, you know what I'm saying, I think people do give him the benefit of the doubt for um for being stubborn and not making any big moves in free agency. But essentially, even though you didn't make the playoffs, you still were 9-8, which is technically a winning record. I know it sucks, but it's technically a winning record, and you still got the core pieces of your team in place. You just need to fill in the holes, and I think he can do that. Now, that being said, you are at a crossroads. I mean, you didn't make the playoffs last year. But once again, I think people are being harder on Brad Holmes than need be because he is a new GM, and I think part of his faults are learning. I think part of his faults are learning from learning on the go, and the fact that he's just stubborn about the way he wants to do things. So I think that it's part of it. So kind of to answer your question, yes and no, man. I think that Brad Holmes is feeling the urgency. I still think that he believes in his method of the way he does things. But the way things are going, the more and more pieces he's losing, the more and more uh, his back is being forced against the wall. I think he doesn't have a choice but to change a little bit. So you know, I think we'll be fine. I do agree with you that if we don't make the playoffs this year and we didn't make the playoffs next year, yeah, that would probably be the end of Brad. But I don't think it'll come to that. I think that the team that we have in place is good. I think that he will make some adjustments and bring it back to bring it back together. And I think that people got to remember, man, the Eagles were a number one team in this league. They missed the playoffs for a year, and then they came back and won the Super Bowl. So I think I think people are being a little bit hard on them. I mean, out of the 5 seasons, we've essentially had two bad seasons. One was a team that you inherited. You inherited it. That was bad, and the second bad season was still a winning season. You just didn't make the playoffs, and your expectations rose. But you know, what I'm saying, if we hadn't had that great season before that, then it wouldn't have been as bad a season as everybody is making out to be. Like people are actually saying that the Lions suck, and I think that we had a bad season, but I don't think the Lions suck.
So wouldn't it be three bad seasons then? Because we didn't make the playoffs three times.
No, but people don't consider that first 9 and 7 season a bad season.
No, you're right. They don't, and it wasn't a bad season. It was that was a turnaround season. So I'm with you on that. A couple things you said that I disagree with though. And it might just be splitting hairs, but the idea that Brad Holmes is a new GM. Um, I mean, this is his first tenure as a GM, but 5 years into it, um, you know, you kind of got to know what you're doing at this point.
Well, I mean, everybody always likes to compare Brad to the Eagles GM. How
Nah,
long
there's
has he
no,
been doing it?
but there's no comparison. The people don't compare. They just say that Brad doesn't do anything that the Eagles
Right,
GM does.
right. But every time I hear Brad, he should do what Howie Roseman is doing. He should do it. He should do this. He should. The Eagles is doing this. Brad should do what they're doing. Brad should do this. I'm saying, how long has he been a GM for the Eagles?
Over a decade.
I'm just saying, he's doing stuff that he's learned from experience.
Yeah, but I mean, that's to say that he didn't do. That's to say the first 5 years of his tenure, all he did was draft and develop guys, and I don't think that's true when he was a new GM.
I can't speak to exactly what he did.
Yeah,
The Eagles
I
have been
can't I can't
the,
either.
the
But
the Eagles have been an up and down organization. They haven't been this. They've had their moments. You know what I'm saying? They've been a successful organization, but they've had their down years as well. So
but
I
they've never
can't.
had they've never had a regime like the Lions have. Like when I think of the Eagles have constantly been Pro Bowl level talent, but it's always been like a revolving door. I mean, you had a Donovan McNabb era, then you go to the Michael Vick era, then you go to just kind of a who's who. But it's always been a revolving door talent, and they had their mainstays. They had their Pro Bowl and Hall of Fame guys that they kept around, but
Yeah,
they never.
Donovan Knapp was about 8 years.
Yeah, but that was before Howie Roseman though.
Michael Vick was about 5 years.
Michael Vick was one of the best quarterbacks in football. I'm not saying just because I'm not saying you get rid of guys just to get rid of guys. I'm saying if you got a guy, basically Michael Vick was their Jared Goff, but Michael Vick actually was like that.
Right.
That's the difference. But I'm saying with Brad Holmes, all the big moves, not big moves, but a majority of the tough decisions that Brad Holmes has made as Lions GM have been made for him. Like the Philadelphia Eagles, and it's not even the Philadelphia Eagles. The Green Bay Packers. I don't know where that story is right now, but the Green Bay Packers have, according to reports, they have released Rashawn Gary. Rashawn Gary has been on that team for years. He's been a very productive player, a Pro Bowler, but they gotta get some money. They gotta save some cap space. So you gotta do things that are uncomfortable. You gotta do things that players are not gonna be happy with you doing. And you can't just wait for that player to come to you and be like, well, if you don't do it, then I'm gonna walk out of here, because essentially you're just waiting for stuff to happen. And the thing about being a good GM and the people like me who compare, as you say, Brad Holmes to Howie Roseman, is I think that a good GM has to be aggressive in all facets of their job, not just in the NFL draft.
Well, let me ask you this: would you agree that the longer you do a job, the better you are at it?
I would not agree with that at all. At all. I would strongly disagree with that. It's possible. It's possible. It all depends on the trajectory. Like, if you've been at a job for 5 years and you have yet to make a meaningful trade, I don't. Why would I believe that you would make that meaningful trade in this year 6 again? Come full circle. The biggest moves that Brad Holmes has made have been made for him. Matthew Stafford walked into his office and said, "Hey, I'm not too big on sticking around for another rebuild. I've been here for 12 years. I done seen some rebuilds. I'm not doing another one. All right, Matthew,
Well,
I
he
got
bought
you."
in. Well, he bought in Carlton Davis, and he bought in.
And he brought in Carlton Davis, and he let him walk right back out that door.
But he bought him in. I'm just saying.
Hey,
He bought
that's
in.
not.
He bought in CJ. He bought in
Go ahead.
CJ GJ.
And he let him walk out the door. I'm saying, man, and now our secondary is decimated. Like Brad and Dan talk about building. So if you bring in a guy for 1 year, then that's not part of the foundation. So when you told me when all your answers is we all about the foundation, we all about building, we all about thinking forward thinking. When you bring guys in for 1 year, those are just that's just a cup of coffee.
Yeah, but I think that the I think that things haven't been going to a plan according to plan. So he bought in Carlton Davis, and yeah, he did let him go out the door, but I think he let him go out the door fully expecting Ennis Rakestraw to take over.
And that's bad. That's bad judgment. That's bad judgment, because
I mean,
you got a potential Pro Bowl, Super Bowl champion cornerback on your team, and with no proof, not proof, but with no evidence that Ennis Rakestraw is ready to take over, and then you're gonna go out and you're gonna save a couple million, like 3 million, I don't know what it was, save a couple million and downgrade to DJ Reed. Like, those are just bad. Those are just bad judgment calls. Meanwhile, Carlton Davis is playing in the Super Bowl.
hey, that's what. But that's why I'm saying, like, it is. I think that you learn from failure. I think that you learn from failure, and that's why I'm saying that I don't think it's going to be 100% turnaround. To answer your question, I don't think he'll make it 100% turnaround. But when you see that what you're doing is not working, you know what I'm saying, and the way you tried something, it's not working. Like, you can learn from your mistakes, and that's what I'm saying, man. I think that he got a little too full of, he got a little too confident, a little too cocky, and I think that he's gonna learn from his mistakes.
I just wanted the record to show that when he got here, he had I mean, and it was a phenomenal draft class. But when he got here, he had one of, if not the best draft in Detroit Lions history, and that was when he first got here. And then most recently, after doing this for 3 to 4 years, his last two drafts have been sad. You know,
The dynamic changed, and that's what I'm talking about because I think that your experience changes because when you first got here, any and all positions were fine. Any position you drafted, you needed somebody there. It didn't matter. You know what I'm saying? Of
yeah,
course,
but hold on,
of course
hold
you
on,
can draft.
hold on, hold on.
Wait, wait, wait.
If he would have got here, but if he would have got here and he would have drafted Terrion Arnold, just because you needed a cornerback doesn't mean that Terrion Arnold would have been great.
Yeah, but I mean it changes because for like I said, the dynamic changes because for one, when you first got here, not only are you choosing the any position because you need all positions, but you're choosing in the top 10. You know what I'm saying? And as the years go down, you have to be more selective with the picks you choose because you don't need you don't need all these positions aren't available anymore. So you got to be a little bit more selective with your picking. And now you're choosing at the bottom of the round.
Two reasons why that's not acceptable. One, you're a GM, you should be able to find talent wherever you draft at. Obviously, it's going to be easier to find talent at the top. Anybody, not I'm not going to say anybody, but like you said, it's a lot easier to find talent at the top. And the reason you get paid the big bucks is because allegedly you should be able to find talent at the bottom. That's one. Two, which is the one that I prefer much better and much more simpler. If you can't find those guys in at 22, 23, 24th in the first round, you can always trade the pick. And Brad Holmes
Well,
has refused to trade the pick.
well,
Or mind you, you could trade that pick for, to your point, a proven commodity. Somebody that you know is going to be great. Somebody
well, well, well,
that might have been a top 10 pick.
well, I'm not going to say that he can't find talent at the bottom of the pool. It's just less available there. I mean, like because the picks that he made, Jack Campbell, Terrion Arnold aren't bad picks. I mean, looking back at it, I would have chose Edge over Terrion Arnold, but Terrion Arnold is a solid player. You know what I'm saying? It's not a bad pick. I think Terrion Arnold will, will contribute to this team. You know what I'm saying? It's not a bad pick. It's not a horrible pick. I think I don't think people are more so mad at the picks that at that pick. Now getting in this, I want to end this race but I don't think people wanted two corners back to back in the draft either. I'm not sure that people are happy with the depth picks that he made afterwards. But more so than anything, more so than the draft. You know, some people fought Brad for the depth picks, but more so than anything, people are fought in Brad for not going out and making this big finishing splash move that everybody wants him to push all the chips in and make this thing. That's the biggest knock on Brad. He won't push all the chips in. And
Do you think do you think it's too late to push all the chips in?
not yet. I think that St. Brown uh, and Panay Sewell are still in their prime. Maybe I say Jared Goff for now, but I don't know what they're gonna do with Jared Goff. But I'll say Panay Sewell, Jared Goff, and Panay Sewell and St. Brown are still in their prime. And as long as you have that core foundation, it's not too late to push in the chips. Now your window is when those guys start getting old and they started getting past their prime. That's when it's too late. But as long as you have that core, I don't think it's too late.
So, and as it stands right now, we are in need of a center, a left tackle, a defensive end, and two safeties. And we currently sit with $5 million in cap space. We have a whole class of rookies to sign. We haven't even gone into free agency and re-signing anybody that we would like to keep. And we haven't even gotten in the free agency of signing players outside of our team. So I would
Well,
argue that
I will say this.
there's no way we can make a splash move. There's no way we could push all the chips in now. This team is nowhere near where going all in made sense.
I just want to throw out this name, Zion Young, man. If we get Zion Young in this draft, I want Freeling and Zion Young. Those are the people I want to pick with the two picks. If we can get those two people, I will be extremely happy. And the white boy that you pointed out, White Kirby Joseph. I can't remember his real name, but I would be excited to have all those players.
Something Thieneman.
Yeah, but we still gonna get you that show about our prospects and show you some film on them, tell you what we believe about them before the draft comes. We look forward to hearing what's gonna what's gonna happen in free agency. That's right around the corner. I think that's only a couple of days away.
Draft is we got a month and a half to the draft, so we got time.
Yeah, but I feel like the next couple of weeks will be filled with news. Things are happening abruptly and fast. So as things come, we'll hit you with it. But until then, peace.
Detroit basketball.